Welcome to Perfectly Paranormal, Episode 17. My name's Annaschmidt, and I'm here every week to share with you true paranormal encounters and information about devils, demons, and dark energy beings that no one else talks about. And today we're addressing paranormal stereotyping. I don't technically have a story for you today, but I will be sharing my personal experiences, observations, and thoughts on how difficult it can be to be seen in society as a paranormal energy worker without going down the road of becoming superficial, egocentric, or compromising my morals and ethics. So you're going to be wondering, what do I mean by paranormal stereotyping? So paranormal stereotyping refers to the prejudiced beliefs and assumptions that people can have about individuals who claim to have paranormal abilities or experiences. And these stereotypes are perpetuated by society's popular culture and through the media, which often portrays paranormal phenomena in a sensationalized and exaggerated way. Now, the result of this is that individuals who genuinely possess psychic and paranormal abilities or have had paranormal experiences are often subjected to ridicule, disbelief, and discrimination. Now, here's some of the ways that I have seen paranormal stereotyping affect genuine paranormal workers. It creates an atmosphere of fear and mistrust. People who claim to have psychic abilities or who have had paranormal experiences are often seen as strange or even dangerous, leading them to becoming ostracised and stigmatised, such as what happened to me in Episode 6 of this podcast, when Kim, who I thought was an old friend, turned out to have a very deep down prejudice about the paranormal and about the way that I do my work, and she literally blew up. It was totally out of control. That was an eye-opener, that experience. And this stereotyping can make it difficult for people like myself to sometimes find employment or support in society because people just don't understand where you're coming from. Now, another way that paranormal stereotyping affects genuine paranormal workers is that it undermines the credibility of their work. Many people dismiss the claims of paranormal workers as mere fantasy or delusion, leading to a very big lack of respect and recognition for their talents and skills. And this can make it really difficult for them to gain a foothold in their chosen profession or, to find opportunities to develop and share their abilities with others. Now, I've struggled with paranormal stereotyping for pretty much all of my life. I had to keep quiet about my ghostly experiences as a child for fear of being told that I was lying or that I was showing off or that I was a mental case. And this then set a precedent and extended into my adulthood, where I only really shared particular paranormal encounters with close friends that I really trusted. I felt like I was living on the outer fringe of society. And it was really uncomfortable as a young person in my 20s. I just didn't know where I fitted in. I am what I am. I can't do anything else but paranormal work. It is literally in my blood. It is just who I am. And now that I'm older, I've owned it. But when I was younger, it was really hard to fit in and really hard to have conversations with people. So around the age of 45 is when I finally kind of busted out of paranormal jail, as I call it. And I felt that I could and I would and I should no longer hide my true self. People openly thank me now for talking about paranormal topics that most people avoid, and for making it real in a very natural, non-fear-based way, and how my continuous talk sort of opens the doorways to conversations and helps people understand about paranormal beings, about supernatural happenings, and helps to change their lives for the better. Now, the stereotyping that I've experienced most of all is a couple of different things that I'm going to outline today. It's basically the look. Paranormal stereotyping often involves specific assumptions about the appearance or behaviour of individuals who claim to possess paranormal abilities or who have had paranormal experiences. So, for example, they may have been portrayed as eccentric or flamboyant, with a tendency to wear dark clothing, specific types of religious jewellery, and some accessories that are associated with the occult, such as the pentagram, for example. Now, this stereotyping can create an image of paranormal workers as being outside of mainstream society, and can lead to them being viewed as untrustworthy or even dangerous. The appearance-based stereotyping can also affect genuine paranormal workers in more subtle ways. So, for example, they can feel pressure to conform to certain expectations about how they should look or dress in order to be taken seriously. And this can be especially challenging for individuals who do not fit or do not want to fit this typical image of a paranormal worker. And those who might feel uncomfortable with the idea of projecting a certain image in order to gain acceptance or respect. And additionally, the pressure to conform to these stereotypes can detract from the genuine abilities, authenticity, and skills that paranormal workers possess, and it can make it difficult for them to be recognised for their true talents. I mean, I'm 55 now, and I only really came into doing professional paranormal work from about the age of 40 onwards. Even though I've had experiences all my life, and I've had an understanding, like a really deep understanding of paranormal beings, not so much the demonic level beings to start with, maybe the spirits, the dark energy beings, the elementals, and some extraterrestrial contacts. But it's really challenging to be able to talk about this and to have people listen without making judgmental comments, without putting you down, without basically saying that you live in woo-woo land or you're a nutcase. And because of the discrimination that I've felt, I've always been a rebel, always. And I challenged myself to break the standard stereotype of a paranormal worker. Whether people look at you as a medium, a paranormal investigator, or an energy worker. Now, I'm an older lady, as I mentioned before, 55, if you class that as old, and I really detest pretending to be something that I'm not. Like, seriously, I have fought against this my whole life, in different areas of my life. Now, I don't wear black. I don't look mysterious or pose or talk about lower vibrational beings in a negative, disrespectful way. I treat all paranormal beings, whether spirits, dark or demonic beings, with respect, as I would with any other living, breathing person. And this tends to shock people the most. People often comment with statements such as, "Oh, demons are bad, evil, and they will kill you." And I'll reply with, "Well, how do you know?" And they can get quite irate, responding with, "Well, I've seen it on TV, or my priest told me so." And you're not going to tell me that my priest is wrong, are you? Now, I respect everyone's opinion. We all have our own perceptions about the paranormal. And I'm not here to dominate or dictate the truth, in inverted commas, but I will continue to share an alternative perspective which I feel makes more sense. And people who have employed me to work in their homes, to do personal energy clearings, to do pet clearings, have really noticed a change within themselves, within their home, with their pet's behaviour. So there's got to be something to it. Like seriously, I am on a life mission to educate people until the day I die. Now, I'm going to share some kind of funny things and some kind of not funny things now. 6 paranormal perspectives that I hold up to. Now, I started a YouTube channel a couple of years ago, and I started with the spiritual, which is where I've kind of always tried to meld the spiritual and the paranormal. And over the years, I've gone full paranormal because really and truly that's where my passion is. You know, hear me talk about being a paranormal addict. That is me. I live it, I breathe it, I read it, I write it, I talk about it. If you want to know, if you ask me a question, look out. I will talk about it for hours on end if you have the time to listen. Now, quite often when people look at my YouTube channel, I get sent private messages through my email. Things like, "You look like my mum. You don't know nothing about demons." Or, "You're not a priest." Or, "You're a fake, you're a charlatan and you take people's money." Now, I don't respond to these comments. I simply understand that people have sometimes limited perspectives. Now, these can be family perspectives, they can be religious, they can be spiritual, they can be perceptions that people have had put upon them since childhood. You know, so I can only do my best to educate people in a non-fear-based, non-confrontational way. But sometimes people will look deeper and they listen and they think about my unique perspective, which rubs against the grain of society's general opinion of the paranormal and the people who work with entities. And this new perspective plants the seed of alternative information and outcomes. Now, I've done some work for skeptics. Like, I've had a lot of people go, "I don't believe in what you do, but I'm willing to give it a go." And when I've done either a house clearing or a personal clearing for them, they've noticed changes within themselves or their home. They won't openly admit that what I've done has helped them, but they don't deny it. And I take that as the tick of approval. Because changing people's minds is a lot of work. Like seriously, they either want to think about another perspective or they just closed-minded and they go, "No, I'm not going to do it." And I'm old enough and wise enough now where I go, you know what? You either believe me or you don't. It's your personal choice and I respect that. Now, real paranormal work, and that's real in inverted commas, is not about views or likes on social media. Rather, it's about understanding and education. Genuine paranormal workers are often passionate about their field of study and have spent many years and decades learning about the different phenomena and how they can investigate it. They don't rely on sensationalised content or clickbait to gain attention. Now, for the public, it can take years to help people understand how this works. Like, you've got to undo centuries of, I don't like using the word brainwashing, but I often do use that. You've just got to help people understand there are other perspectives out there. And it allows people to explore different phenomena and theories with an open mind. This means being willing to consider alternative viewpoints and to challenge one's own assumptions and biases. Additionally, education is an important aspect of paranormal work, as it helps to dispel myths and misconceptions about the paranormal, and allow people to make informed decisions about their beliefs and experiences. And by focusing on understanding and education, paranormal workers can help to advance the field of paranormal research and provide meaningful insights into the mysteries of the unknown. Now, I don't pretend or hide what I feel is the truth about the paranormal world around us, in what I've experienced and learnt over 35 plus years of being aware and doing this work. I choose to uphold my integrity, and people are starting to see the authenticity in the way that I educate others through my YouTube channel, this podcast, online meeting platforms, and talking in person. For me, it's not about gaining notoriety. Like I said before, I educate people about what these beings are, but also give people tips, techniques, and methods they can use to combat paranormal interference, which is really, really important to understand. If your behaviour changes suddenly, and you've seen your doctor, you've seen your mental health professional, and they can't pinpoint what it is, there may be an energetic component that is contributing to your behaviour or something that's changed in your life suddenly, and you just don't know what to do about it. I always say to people that energetic interference is very, very relevant to our lives. I have seen it and I have documented it through my book called The Darkness Around Us, where I talk about who these beings are. Many, many signs and symptoms of paranormal attachment, paranormal interference. I talk about ways that they attach to us. Some simple methods that people can use to remove some levels of paranormal beings from themselves and their homes. Really and truly, you have to get to the core of the issue. And it involves many, many hours of detective work. Like, people will message me and go, "Oh, I'd like to book you for a paranormal clearing, like a personal clearing." I'm going, "Yep, no worries." And they are like, "Well, when are we meeting on Zoom, or when are we talking on the phone?" And I explain to them in my introductory email that this work, depending on your level of paranormal interference that you've got within you, can take me anywhere from 5 hours to 20 hours, and sometimes more, to do all the detective work and to remove every single paranormal being, their cording, their attachments, the emotions that they're attached to within you. Because these paranormal beings feed off the negative energetic imprints that we create. And I talk about this all through my podcast. So now I've got some information for you about what paranormal beings want to say themselves. They want you to know that the paranormal world is not entertainment, and these beings are not circus performers. They all have soul energy, and they deserve to be treated respectfully, like every other living being. They're not evil, and we've been brainwashed to believe that. That's their word. I think that's probably why I use brainwashed so often, because I hear it in my head so often when I'm working with these beings. They actually teach us to become better versions of ourselves. And you're probably rolling your eyes going, "What is she talking about?" But I have witnessed within myself and other people that these beings help us to identify our shadow traits and our dark emotions, as I call them, the trigger emotions that we create on a constant basis that can keep us sometimes living in a negative energetic state. Now, these are the hidden parts of ourselves, which we often don't want to deal with openly, and which can often tear our lives apart. And it's up to us to reach out for help from counsellors, mental health workers, support workers, and work through our problems, therefore releasing the build-ups of negative emotions, the negative energetic imprints as I call them, and anything else that is holding us back in our lives. Now, spirits really strongly dislike the term ghost hunting or ghost busting. You know, they're okay with paranormal investigation, but ghost hunting and ghost busting, they find that really, really disrespectful. I mean, we're talking about our loved ones who have left their physical bodies. And spirits like the dark and the demonic level beings are often portrayed in popular culture. They're portrayed as simple entities that exist solely to haunt or terrify human beings. Right, it's a whole heap of rubbish. However, many spiritual traditions view spirits as complex and multifaceted entities. Therefore, terms like ghost hunting and ghost busting are viewed as very, very disrespectful by spirits. These terms suggest that spirits are merely pests or nuisances that can be easily hunted down or eliminated. You know, without any consideration for their own needs or desires. And in reality, spirits have a wide range of reasons for their presence or their actions. Dark and demonic beings, lower level energy beings, entities, whatever you want to call them. They have told me that they detest terms like demon hunter or demon slayer. Really gets their backs up. Both of these terms are just about the ego of the person describing them that way. Demonic beings are often portrayed as malevolent entities that exist solely to cause harm and destruction. However, in many belief systems and mythologies, these beings are seen as powerful entities to be respected. Therefore, terms like demon hunter or demon slayer are viewed as disrespectful by dark and demonic level beings. These terms simply suggest that lower vibrational energies are mindless, easily defeated creatures. Not, I'm telling you not, just don't even go there. That exist solely for the purpose of being hunted and killed. Doesn't work that way. In reality, lower vibrational beings are often depicted as highly intelligent and they are very cunning. This is the way I talk about them. They possess a wide range of abilities. And as such, they view these terms as a challenge to their power. And they may react with anger or hostility towards those who use them. And I've actually seen this. I can't remember the episode number. I didn't write it down. But there's one of my very early episodes that talks about an energy being that lives behind the stairs. It's either episode 3 or 4. And this energy being's quite happy living there. I've actually met this being. He lives in the island state of Tasmania where I am. And I had some really positive interactions with this energy being. But in the early days, ghost hunters would come looking for this energy being because you could go into this property. All you needed to do was to talk to the owner of the property, get the key, and you were allowed to enter for the night. Now, people would go in there and traipse around and they'd be so disrespectful. Now, this energy being got quite upset one night and actually scratched someone quite badly and affected someone else's mental faculties so badly that it took him months to recover. Now, this energy being wouldn't have reacted that way if it hadn't been treated really disrespectfully. Look, I interacted with this being for maybe 3 or 4 months, on and off. Would come to my home. I would just know there were particular signs that this energy being was here. All he wanted to do was communicate. He wanted people to know that he's there, he has a job on that property, and just leave him alone. Doesn't particularly like people, so just let him go about his business. I mean, he's in the energy world. You'll hear me talk about all the multiple dimensions of the high vibrational beings, the elementals, the earth reality that we live in, but also the lower vibrational realities. They all exist at the same time in the same place. Like, seriously, I'm not a scientist. I can't give you data and scientific information about it. But I live this lifestyle of dealing with all different levels of paranormal beings every day. So I class myself as someone who has some knowledge. Now, a final note from an energy worker's perspective. I personally don't need science to prove that the energy world and paranormal beings exist. Science is about the tangible. Energy beings can often not be tangibly quantified. I'm not against the scientific approach, and it is 100% a personal choice if you want to look at the paranormal scientifically or energetically. I've been energetically sensitive all my 55 years of living, like I said earlier, and I have seen, heard, felt, known, experienced things that just can't be tangibly explained. I've had so many skeptical people that I talk to worldwide who've also experienced things as well. So in my opinion, I just believe that science can't explain everything. So in episode 18, I have an interview for you. I'm talking with a fellow paranormal enthusiast, Dan Volk, who lives in the USA. He's from Dan the Paraman podcast. And Dan will share how he initially got into exploring the paranormal, extraterrestrials, and folklore around supernatural events all over the world. And he may even share a story or two. And I'm looking forward to that as much as you are. There's nothing I love more than a good real-life paranormal encounter. So thank you for joining me today. And if you'd like to share a paranormal story, or if you have a paranormal question you'd love to ask, you can email me at spiritualbeing44@gmail.com. And for information on paranormal house clearing, you can visit my website. The web address is in the description box. And I look forward to sharing this spooky space again with you next week. And remember, life is perfectly paranormal.